House Select Committee that is meeting today, taking a look at the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. First time it's meeting today. This comes after contentious arguments between leaders from both sides of the aisle over who should sit on that committee in the first place. Speaker Nancy Pelosi rejected 2 of the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's 5 Republican selections, and then the Republican leader pulled all 5 from consideration, and one of those House Republicans who Speaker Pelosi rejected from the committee, Ohio Representative Jim Jordan, who joins us now. Congressman, thank you for being here. And I know you have issues with the committee itself, but aside from that, I don't want to get into the mechanism being used to investigate. Are you now still opposed to an investigation of everything that took place that day that led up to it? And also, that includes the security that day. Are you opposed to an investigation of it all?
No, of course not. And Leader McCarthy said we're going to do that on our own. Republicans, we have 2 bipartisan support signed off, 2 committees in the United States Senate signed off by both Republicans and Democrats, Republican staff, Democrat staff. So of course we want to get to the answers. But there's a fundamental question that Chairman Thompson refuses to answer. And that's why I think I was not allowed to participate and Mr. Banks was not allowed to participate. That fundamental question is, why wasn't there a proper security posture that day? And only the Speaker's office can answer that question.
Well, Congressman, of course, Speaker Pelosi said she had other issues with you being on the committee, not just a matter of security and what they look into. She took issue with some of the stances you have taken in her words and her statement, saying that you supported a lot of ways the big lie. That the election was stolen. So those were some of the issues she did take with you. But do you oppose, and some Democrats suggest you oppose it because you think it might make President Trump and Republicans look bad?
No, I oppose it because it's I mean, look, you got the 2 impeachment managers that you put on the committee, Adam Schiff and Jamie Raskin. You got Benny Thompson, chairman of the committee, who objected to the electors when George Bush were. I guess the rule is only Democrats are allowed to object to accepting the electors on January 6th when we count the electors. Because Jamie Raskin objected on January 6, 2017 to the electors from Florida. Benny Thompson objected to the electors from when George Bush won the office. So maybe they're the only ones who are allowed to. I can't object when there's unconstitutional changes made to the election law in Pennsylvania, Arizona, and others. I'm not allowed to object to that.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who is on the committee, who Speaker Pelosi did okay to be on and wanted on and selected to be on, she suggested that you could be called as a material witness. Would you accept, or do you welcome the opportunity to testify in front of this committee?
The people who should be called as witnesses are the ones who can answer the fundamental question. Why wasn't there a proper security presence and posture that day? Those are the people who need to be called. And it is obvious, based on the comments from the chairman of this committee, Chairman Thompson, that he doesn't want to do that. So the 2 questions need to be answered is, why wasn't there a proper security presence that day? And what are we doing to make sure this doesn't happen again? Those are the witnesses that should be called.
So no?
We'll see how this all plays out with this. Well, look, I didn't do anything. I have nothing to hide. I'll be happy to talk to whoever wants to talk. But what I'm saying is the witnesses who should be called are the people who can answer those 2 fundamental questions. And everyone understands that.
Well, I know a lot of people do want to look into the security. Absolutely. And I don't think anybody objects to that being the case. But Congresswoman Cheney suggested that there were talks and conversations that you were a part of leading up to January 6th and planning, if you will, for that day. Were you a part of any conversations or planning, not planning violence? I'm not suggesting that, but were you a part of any of those conversations leading up to?
I have had countless number of conversations with President Trump. I mean, look, for over 4 years, I mean, countless number. I never talked to the media about those conversations because, frankly, those are conversations with the President of the United States. But none of those conversations dealt with anything about that would be in any way wrong.
And Congressman, I know you're focused, you're laser focused on security of that day, and that is a part of the conversation and the investigation. That should be a part of it, but you're not opposed to what happened before, during, after, the entire lead up. You're not opposed to that investigation as well, in addition to the security.
Well, I mean, President Trump said peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We heard his whole speech. We watched the whole rally
He
on
also
video.
said
We've
fight
seen
like
all
hell,
kinds
though,
of video about
Congressman.
that day. But that seems to be what all the Democrats care about, which frankly is all they've cared about for the last 5 years, is going after President Trump.
Is it possible, Congressman, that he is responsible, like some Republicans have actually said?
Of course he's not
he's not responsible. I mean, even
of course he's not
practically and morally, I think is what McConnell said.
DJ, you know who's responsible for the things that happened? The people who did wrong, and they should be prosecuted. And guess what? That is what is happening. The idea that the president's responsible is ridiculous. The people who are responsible are the people who did the wrong actions, and they should be held accountable, and they are, in fact, being held accountable.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, it's a historic day there on Capitol Hill. The back and forth will continue, but certainly I think every American, every viewer we have is really hoping you all can come together. After what we saw on January 6th, there was a nice moment, a brief moment, I guess, of togetherness, and it seems that everybody's going back to their corner in a lot of ways. But we wish all of you on Capitol Hill good luck, all right?